It's Tuesday, July 8th, 2014. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, A Link Between Worlds.
Let's do this.
I guess Scott really wants to be a fish.
You know, if I couldn't be a person and I had to be a thing that exists in real life, various types of fish are not bad choices.
Well, I recall a long time ago we were talking about if we had demons that followed us around, or a daemon, or however you want to call it, and people were like, "Oh, Rim, you'd have like a crow or something like that," and then you were kind of tangential to the conversation, and then you suggested that yours would be a tiny human. When we told you that wouldn't work, you decided a mechanical fish.
A robot fish would be pretty awesome.
It'd be okay.
Better than a regular fish.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of fish, except for the eating. I'm more a fan of, I don't know, sea mammals like dolphins.
Dolphins, good enough.
Is that a fish, though?
No, but I'll take it.
Racist.
You're just trying to, in the absence of being able to be a human, you're just trying to pick the smartest thing that is out there.
No, if I was going to pick the smartest thing, I'd pick one of the greatest apes or like, I don't know, an African gray parrot.
You know, a dolphin might be smarter than some apes. It just can't, talk and do sign language.
One thing I do enjoy, though, is watching human babies interact with like dogs and horses because it's
They're
obvious
basically
that,
the same damn thing.
Yeah, they have the same level of cognition. And in fact, there's a point where I've seen dogs that were clearly cognitively superior to the humans they were interacting with.
Yeah, well, the humans are either so small or, so dumb.
Well, I had a friend in high school who I think his ferret was a little bit smarter than him in a lot of ways.
Yeah, there's people like that.
Yeah. I wonder what he's up to. I think he fell for the Amway scam last time I talked to him, which was like 15 plus years ago.
If that ferret could talk. De Blasio was talking about legalizing ferrets.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. I like ferrets.
Yeah, why not? I don't understand why they were illegal in the first place.
The fear was, in olden times,
Is this law really that old?
Yes.
And they haven't changed it since then?
I will look up when the law happened, but the fear was that a ferret would climb between floors in the old-ass buildings in New York City, find a baby, and kill it.
Sure. And not that pickpockets would use them, which is a thing that happened at least once.
Oh, my God. If I was a pickpocket, do you know how many ferrets I would have?
People would know, I got pickpocketed. Maybe it's the guy with 100 ferrets hanging out in Union Square.
Okay, they were banned a couple of times in history, apparently, but the ban that's in effect now was put in place by Giuliani.
So really fucking recent.
Yeah.
So there's no excuse for any wrong thinking in that decision. So what was their not wrong thinking?
Oh, no, there was a lot. Okay, this is getting really complicated. This is the show about ferrets.
Are you just going to abandon this topic?
I'm going to abandon this topic because I've noticed a trend. I don't have a word for this yet, but this happened 3 times over the course of the wedding we were at last weekend, where there's a discussion, 2 people make opposing claims, and a third person says, all right, I'm going to look it up, which is followed by the conversation happening next to them where they go, oh, okay, give me a minute. This article's really long. Crap, it links to these other articles. Okay, this is going to take a while. And by the time they find the answer, no one gives a shit anymore.
Okay.
We need a word for that.
TLDR.
But that's it. TLDR also is just any time you're reading anything that's too long. This is an argument where the actual answer is complicated enough that no one cares enough to continue the argument. They were, in fact, only arguing for the sake of arguing.
Like this right now?
Yes. Or like the Barry incident. No, okay, the ban goes back to 1959. The Giuliani thing was an upholding of the ban after
Why
some
would
lawsuits.
they uphold it?
Giuliani, I guess, fucking hates ferrets? I can't tell.
Okay.
So, I guess it's Tuesday, gaming day. May or may not be a Thursday show. We'll see if we feel like recording a Thursday show right now after this Tuesday show.
Why don't you wait for the meta moment on that?
Yeah, but this weekend we'll be in Connecticut at Connecticut.
Yeah.
So you got any gaming news?
So this isn't really news. This is from 2013.
Wow, 2013 is actually the last time I got an email about the thing you're going to talk about.
Like a year ago, August.
Here's the email I got. The subject line is MechWarrior Online Mailing List. You are now unsubscribed. And it was the September 19th, 2013.
Sure. So anyone who doesn't know, there was a MechWarrior Online game. And, it's basically MechWarrior, but you play it online, which is amazing, except it was pay to win of the highest order. So fuck that shit.
In 2011, I made my account and reserved my name. I never once played the game.
I also, same thing. I reserved it when they announced it, and then I never once played the game. Anyway, so the reason that this is news is because A, I just found this recently, and I don't think we've talked about it on the show before, but B, this game died horribly. And why did it die horribly? Mostly because this long tale that you can read about how the game developers mistreated the community so badly, worse than probably or as bad as any game ever. And this isn't like a tribe situation where they did what the community told them to. It is the opposite, where not only did they do the opposite of what the community wanted to do, they did stuff that even the people that weren't in the community didn't want them to do.
Oh, you like miniguns? Banned from the game forever.
Right. The number one thing that they did that was really bad is they put in basically this thing called Cool Shot. And if anyone's played MechWarrior Battletech, you know that heat is like the number one mechanic in the game. You can't just fire your weapons wildly all over the place.
Well, you can.
Sure, but your mech will overheat and explode. So it's like, Battletech / MechWarrior is all about, positioning and, firing at opportune moments. And
Heat management.
Yeah, and managing the heat. You can't, in other games, you could just be like, like Advanced Wars, move and shoot, unless you have ammo, right? Move and shoot. Just keep shooting. There's no reason not to shoot.
Yep. Games like World of Warcraft have their cooldown period, so you do your attack, and then there's a cooldown, then you do your attack again. But there's no reason to not do it at the
But in
maximum
Battletech,
rate.
you have this general thing, heat. All weapons generate some amount of heat. And so it's like you can't fire weapons, period. Not like, okay, you fired that weapon, it's cooling down, but you can still go crazy with all your other weapons as much as you want. No, it's like, okay, you're at like max heat. If you fire anything now, you risk just exploding your whole robot. So, of course, every MechWarrior Battletech game ever has heat because that's the core mechanic that makes it Battletech / MechWarrior. I'll just keep saying Battletech because it's better, even though this is MechWarrior Online. So they put in this thing called Cool Shot, which is basically an item, a disposable item that you can use to cool your mech off, right? So almost like nitro for your heat sinks. So you press the button and your heat goes away. And you use these, you can get them and use them up, and then you're out of them, right? So obviously if someone had one of these, or a few of them, they could get close to you, fire all their lasers, immediately use it and fire the lasers again, and that's pretty much going to make them win.
Yep.
So end up happening is when you have that, the best design of mech ends up being something with like 1 million PPCs.
Oh, wow, the mech they're describing here, I'm reading that paragraph, is basically the mech I always made when we played the tabletop version.
The ideal mech, if you have this item, is a jump jet mech full of PPCs. You jump close to them, you fire all your PPCs, you cool down and fire them again.
Or back against the wall, targeting computer, 2 Gauss cannons, go for it.
Well,
Only
Gauss
front
cannons don't
armor.
really use heat, so...
Yeah.
But anyway, they don't use that much heat, and they cool off pretty quick. Anyway, so... The thing is, these cool shots, to get them, it wasn't like a pickup, like quad damage in Quake. You could just get them by paying fucking money. Real goddamn money. Real world dollars you got from your job could be given to this company to cool down your mech and fire your PPCs twice in a row.
So we talk about pay to win, but this is egregious.
This is the most no one. I mean, sometimes I say something is pay to win, and people disagree with me. Like maybe League of Legends or something like that. I'll say, yeah, it's pay to win because you can't get all the possible heroes. So some people have options you don't have if you didn't pay.
But there's at least a Pareto frontier that's pretty well designed in a lot of those cases.
Sure, but here, no one would say this is not pay to win. In fact, the people who made the game said, this is pay to win. We're going to pay to win, everybody. Pay to win. Yeah. And this is the story of that. Read this epic tale and learn a valuable lesson. And when you see new games coming out, try to imagine, is that game going to be this game? And if it is, do not touch.
Yep.
Not even with a 10-foot, not even with your LRM should you touch.
LRMs go way more than 10 feet.
Not even with your LRMs should you touch that game.
Not with your enhanced whatever claws.
Not
and the
even
muscles.
with your Arrow 4 should you touch this game or any game like it.
I remember I wanted to use sniper rifles, but we never played on big enough maps, so the Gauss rifle was just better.
Yes.
So in other gaming news, the World Cup's happening, and that's the thing. People care about it. Not talking about soccer.
We've talked about soccer enough.
Talked about it a lot, and we're doing a panel at Kineticon. We're going to talk about it again and pissing people off because it's soccer time. But a historic or an historic game just occurred a little while ago. Brazil lost to Germany in the semifinals, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So they didn't just lose like 1-2,
like
0-1,
usual soccer game.
Shootout. They won by 6. The final score was 7-1. This game,
7-1 Germany.
yes,
Yes.
was a blowout, which in soccer just doesn't happen.
Is a hockey score right there.
That's an outlier hockey score.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a blowout in hockey.
But at least in hockey, it's like, okay, we've seen that.
The equivalent of what happened just now between Germany and Brazil was when at RIT, a local college, in quotes, called Newman, had a hockey team that was in the same division as RIT's hockey team, and they lost a game to RIT's hockey team, and the final score was 24-0.
It was glorious.
I think there's a phrase, and the phrase is, "You are already dead."
And they were dead after like half the first period.
So Twitter exploded, and watching this happen just through Twitter and through social media was amazing. Someone just posted this picture of a Simpsons quote: "If they're already dead, why do you keep doing this?"
Why one motion did it? Yeah, I was just like, hey, this is great. The more boring the game, the more exciting the Twitters.
But this, seriously,
It's like Twitter makes all the social medias makes up, like the game is too boring, people get diverted to Photoshop and suddenly amazing things happen. We should make all soccer
I would not find this game boring. A game like this, I'm more inclined to watch because maybe I'm just a sadist.
the beginning was really hilarious, and then after that, it's like, all right, nothing's happening now.
No, we've talked about this. Remember in the game One Must Fall 2097?
That's a great game.
Yeah, oh my God, that was a great game. I don't know if it holds up. I have not played it in a long time.
It's a really fighting game. People wouldn't like it, and there's sort of an RPG level up element to it.
Yeah, which is why we liked it.
But it's a kind of slow fighting game, but it still has all the aspects of fighting game, and the theme and music is awesome.
Oh, the music is some of the best music. It's up there with Doom 2's music. So in One Must Fall 2097, one of the things that would happen is you would do your Pacific Rim robot fight, whatever, and then you'd watch the newscast talking about what happened last night.
Yep.
And sometimes it would say things like, "It was a close match. It was really amazing." But if it was a blowout, if you just crushed the other mech and didn't even take any damage, they always said the same thing. And they were like, if you enjoy a fair, two-sided, interesting competition, then last night was not for you. But if you enjoy a sadomasochistic pounding, I think I'm that guy. I like to watch games that are ridiculous blowouts because
I like a ridiculous blowout. I like seeing, like, if I had been watching from the beginning, I would have been like, 1 goal, ooh, 2 goals, whoa, 3 goals, whoa, and then like the 5th goal, I'd be like, oh my God.
Got that Newman
and then
game.
after that, it's like, all right, we're done.
Scott, that Newman game, when they hit 23, I would have been yelling at the top of my lungs, going for 24 with a minute left.
There's a different aspect there. We're not watching on TV.
True.
And the people on the ice can hear us because it's small time. Those two things are necessary for me to care when the score is 23-0.
But a score like that either means that the tournament structure was fucked, that something about the sport is fundamentally unexplored. Like, there is a strategy, there is a situation.
Well, Brazil's best player was injured.
Yeah. So
that's also a factor.
Yes, it was. But when
is it a 6-goal factor? You're losing one guy?
Well, that's what's interesting. There aren't blowouts in mature games. Unless those games involve extremely...
Against top-tier teams playing.
Unless those games involve extremely high levels of luck or
skill disparity.
Extremely high levels of individual player input, which can translate into luck. And while some of those elements can be present in games like soccer, it would not translate into this unless there was something systemically wrong in the matchup between Germany and Brazil.
Yeah, well, I did see something recently that was very interesting. And, they talk about, like, the good soccer players being good, right? Like, Messi and Ronaldo and whatever. And someone made a graph, and it showed, like goals per game or something like that. Those two guys, when you looked at this graph, are basically, like, miles ahead of everyone else. The same way that, like, Wayne Gretzky is miles ahead of every hockey player that has ever or will exist.
Yep.
And it's sort of like, well... they really score a lot more goals than everyone else.
Well, like in their era,
twice as many.
Like watching Michael Jordan play when he played, or watching Mike Tyson box at the height of his boxing.
Well, it's like when so few goals are scored and you're the guy, it's like you make a huge difference, and big number disparities like that can happen, Anyway.
So I just find this utterly amazing. And also, as much as I bitch about soccer, nerds, sports, they're games. Things of the day. So this is just hilarious. I'm going to link to 2 things of the day. One is the original video that this is from, as in the audio and the situation that occurred with these so-called bootleg-ass fireworks shit. or fireworks, bootleg ass shit. I forget the exact order of those words, but all those words are used. And that is mashed up with one of the greatest movies ever made.
That's correct. Not even people think I'm saying this sarcastically. It's like, no, I fucking love that movie.
Moses. If
Let
you hear us
my
quote that,
people go.
it's a great movie. It is a great work of fiction.
So let it be written. So let it be done.
And one would think that it might be difficult to mash up the two things that we're talking about, but this video literally made me laugh out loud at my office to the point that everyone looked over to see what the fuck I was laughing at.
I want to make all the Ten Commandments mashups now.
Oh my God. We should take turns.
I have Creative Cloud and I'm not afraid to use it.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm afraid not to use it because then I feel like I'm paying for nothing.
Seriously, I had to use the GIMP today. I haven't used the GIMP in a while. And I thought, oh, I'm just going to add some text layers and just Oh,
No.
GIMP.
So here's a soccer-related thing of the day.
Uh-oh.
Everyday football fouls.
Wow, this is almost like a documentary.
This is the most true video I've ever seen.
Might be too real for you guys.
It's so real. You got to see this. It's so real.
We shouldn't even just watch it. Just watch our things
I don't know
today.
what there is to say about it. The title says everything.
Our things of the day are often good or bad or interesting or whatever, but seriously, today, these 3 videos better make you collectively laugh out loud or you're not human.
Or you're just really sad.
In the
Sorry.
meta moment, this weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday in Hartford,
Well, kind
Connecticut.
of Thursday, let's be honest.
This is a foray. Kineticon has been growing for many years. The quality has been stepped up in pretty much every regard, and this year, it's reaching this tipping point. We've spread into Thursday. This is the tentacle, the little tendril, going out.
Listen, I can't take another day off work. Let's not spread into Thursday.
We're going to spread full on into Thursday. Give it time.
Fuck you, Thursday. No one wants to go to Hartford on Thursday.
Yeah, but PAX has 4 days. Well,
PAX is like 10 Kineticons.
Yeah, give it time. Thing is,
It's not 10
Kineticon,
Kineticons. It's maybe like 5, 6, 7
Kineticon is not analogous to PAX. However, it is analogous to Dragon Con. I think Kineticon
I
is
think
going...
I don't know if it's analogous to Dragon Con, but the thing they have in common is that they're the 2 conventions I know of that cover all the geekeries.
large conventions that cover all the geekeries.
Right. It's like
well-run conventions that cover all the
Dragon
geekeries.
Con's, I guess, relatively well run.
Well, all right. Well-run above...
I've never actually been to it. I'm going by what I hear, but I hear a lot about conventions, so I know more than most people.
All right, it's when we say well-run and we mean it, we basically mean PAX and like 2 other conventions. But well-run in an absolute sense of...
It happens again every year without disappearing.
Or in the sense of...
Without any major fiascos.
If you look at the average human being from the entire history of humans from 40,000 years ago to today, that average of capabilities, then yeah, a lot of these conventions are relatively well run.
I mean, MagFest still happens.
MagFest still happens.
Yeah, but Dragon Con and Kineticon, they're the 2 conventions that have all the geekeries. Whatever it is, what are you into? What kind of geekery you have?
I only play Fox Final Destination, no
Well, guess
items.
what? You can play Smash Brothers at Kineticon.
Yes, you can. I'm only into body art and tattoos and specialized contact lenses.
We have that shit at Kineticon.
We've got panels about all those things.
Whatever nerdy shit you're into, odds are it's at Kineticon somewhere. The comics, the anime, the whatever. If there's a night of Geeknights about it, it's at Kineticon, except maybe tech. I don't know how much tech we have. We need
Not
more.
yet. I was thinking about...
We were actually working on it, but it wasn't easy.
Yep. Well, there's big changes in the back end. Like I said, Kineticon is reaching this tipping point of getting to this next level of content and next level of things being awesome. So stay tuned. So this year, if you want to see myths of medieval combat, parkour, an introduction, queer fandom, Kill La Kill and feminism, drawing unique characters, Sherlock Holmes through the ages, Hyrule Historia, welcome to Night Vale. There's a lot of shit going on.
That's funny. The name of the thing starts with welcome to, so then they added a welcome to.
You realize that's when I saw that title, I basically decided unless there was something egregious in the description, I was scheduling it no matter what.
That's
And then I read the description and it looks great.
Whoever made the panel is clever enough to make the title, so they're clever enough to be panelists.
When I look at these submissions, I pretty much think, are these people doing the kinds of things that we do to other conventions? If so, second look. So yeah, Kineticon this weekend is going to be fucking awesome. Also, we're doing a bunch of panels. So you should come
Mostly
see us
because
there.
a few people bailed and we had to fill in.
Yep. The one
So
thing
our
that,
schedule started at like 2 panels and is now how many?
4, 5 if you count the Date Night panel that I'm going to be on.
What if you count morning announcement panel?
If we count morning announcements and all the like convention run panels, like con feedback, I'm not adding the Kineticon convention feedback panel to our resume of panels that we've run over the years.
You sure? I'm going to make this one exciting.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm just going to cuss out all the attendees. Be like, all right, this panel's actually reversed this year. Feedback for the attendees. Your cosplay's awful. You were annoying. You didn't pay for your badge. What are you complaining about?
Now, if I was making a TV show and I was the writer for it about conventions and people who run them, that scene, after you do your rant, you do your crazy rant, or I guess the actor who's playing
You're
you.
that guy. I wish you did something. I actually sort of wish you did something bad at this convention so I could ban you.
I would have the guy who plays House play you. You would do the rant, and then there'd be one of those awkward The Office style moments of silence as everyone in the room is just aghast. And then one attendee would raise their hand and be like, I have some feedback about the convention feedback panel. And that would be when the scene would
You're like,
end.
shut the fuck up.
Black Rage.
Say what again?
Black Rage.
Say what again? I dare you.
All right, we're mixing our links and metaphors here. The Book Club book is a canonical for Leibowitz. I read it a long goddamn time ago,
I would
Scott.
read it in the car to Kineticon, but I get car sick if I read in the car.
So do I. In fact, I get car sick reading my phone in a cab ride to JFK.
You know what? That's what happened to me. I was in cars this weekend because I was in Connecticut.
And you were bored.
I read my phone in the car, and then I got car sick, and I was like, fuck.
And the worst part is,
If it was a book, I would have known, don't read that book. But it was a phone, so I read it, and then it's just like,
telling someone like us, don't look at your phone is like saying, yeah, don't open your left eye. Just keep that shit shut.
And I'm sitting in a boring car.
And I can't play my 3DS because I basically beat all the games I own on it.
You should get Picross. They already came out with Picross E4. You never run out of Picross.
I don't understand you and Picross. We ever
Listen.
done a show on Picross?
You might as well also mix in Sudoku, crossword, word
Should we do a
search,
show on
logic puzzle, and tangram? No, not tangram. Tangrams are the triangle things. Anagram, cryptogram, and all those other things in the games magazine.
After Kineticon, our next convention will be PAX Dev, PAX Prime.
For all of the rest of July and August, we've pretty much got nothing.
You know what that means? Lot of streaming and gaming.
A lot of gaming and biking and whatnot.
Yeah, but also lots of Geeknights video coming back. The only other meta moment I'll point out, if you like the anime Shoujo Kakame Utena, we've done the entire first goddamn season of that thing in terms of reviews. It's all on YouTube, and it's awesome.
And if you like that, Sailor Moon is back.
Sailor Moon is back, and we're
If you
going to be
don't watch
talking,
it, I'll punish you.
We're going to be talking about Sailor Moon Oshiokyo. Tsukini Kawate Oshiokyo?
No, in the name of something else.
In the name of what?
I don't know.
What would you punish someone in the name of?
Your mom. Your mom sent me here to punish you. Smack.
So, pretty much if I had to rank Zelda games in terms of me enjoying them, of all the Zelda games that have ever been made, my list is actually very straightforward.
Oh, let's do the list then.
All right.
And then I'll do my list.
All right, my list. Number 1, Zelda 3.
There you go.
Best Zelda game ever.
Can't go wrong with that.
Number 2, I'm going to say Four Swords.
Really?
Because that experience is transcendent if you do it right. However,
we're talking about GameCube Four Swords, obviously.
yes.
Because there's some other Four Swords out there.
I will not actually put that on the list as number 2 because that's like saying Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles is a great game. No, that is a great chance at having a great game. So my number 2 would be Zelda 1. My number 3 would be Zelda 2. And I never
You and your Zelda 2.
Yeah, Zelda 2 is fucking awesome.
You and your Zelda 2.
Look, of all the 2s that suck in the world...
You also like Castlevania 2, so...
No, I appreciate Castlevania 2, and I like it in the same way that I like Pain because it reminds me that I'm alive, but I'm not going to pretend that Castlevania 2 is a great game. So it's Zelda 3, Zelda 1, Zelda 2. Don't really like the 3D Zeldas that much.
All right, so for me, Zelda 1, best Zelda.
Why?
Just because Zelda 1 That graveyard going on.
There's a graveyard in Zelda 3.
Yeah, but it's like in Zelda 1, that graveyard is like mystical.
Yeah, you know
shit.
why? Because that palette was scary as shit when you were a kid.
Yeah, and when you go in the final dungeon, it's like the music going on. Let me just say, Zelda 1 is the only Zelda that can give you the feels, right? Even today. It's not like because I was a kid. No, that shit's still scary as fuck. Anyway.
Zelda 3 gave me those feels when I hit the Dark World, and I was like, there's like 7 more dungeons.
Anyway, Zelda, next one, Zelda 3. So I just revert, and then Zelda 64, because, Ocarina's.
Yeah.
Then,
I think it's Ocarina
the one
is a
you
great
didn't,
game,
the one you didn't play, Windfish, Game Boy Zelda.
Yeah, I should beat that game.
Game Boy Zelda, Windfish. Then,
that's probably a good one. I did not particularly...
Then maybe Zelda 2 after that.
I didn't particularly enjoy Seasons or Ages.
Wind Waker and Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword are sort of all equal.
They're boring as fuck.
I'm
sorry.
They're all equal. They all come below Zelda 2.
I enjoyed the lore.
I guess Wind Waker is like, it's better in some ways, game-wise, but it's worse because it has the stupid Triforce hunting, and it doesn't have enough dungeons. I base Zelda solely on the number of dungeons. And actually, you know what? Of the 3... I'm going to put Twilight Princess slightly ahead of the other 2.
Twilight Princess did have enough dungeons.
Because it had enough-ish dungeons, but mostly because the one awesome ancient Hyrule dungeon hidden in the woods where it's like, here's all this ancient Hyrulean shit. Ooh.
Oh, you love that precursor stuff. That's why you like Samus games so much.
That's right. It's a very
Metroid Prime.
It was very Chozo statue in that area, which is why it was dope as hell.
Guys, if you want to get me and Scott excited about things, the term to remember is, quote, precursor technology.
Macross.
Mechanical for Leibowitz.
Star Control.
The culture.
Anyway, that's my Zelda ranking. So, of course, here comes Zelda Link Between Worlds. So when
Which
I first
attempted to be a remake of Zelda 3.
Okay, so when I first saw Link Between Worlds, it was like, oh, they're remaking Super Nintendo Zelda 3, which is the second one on the list. But they had already re-released it on GBA or whatever, and I'm just like, well, why? Why are they re-releasing it again? I don't get it. But then they're like, no, it's actually a new game, and I'm like, oh, it's actually a new game. It's just like, very similar to Zelda 3.
It's set in a similar-ish world, which is interesting because I'll go to places where I remember secrets, and there'll be a different secret in that area.
Yeah.
Or usually no secret.
Basically, it's like, I wish they would have just taken the same engine and made a new game, which they sort of did, but they also used the same map and had 2 worlds on that map.
The second world, however, was kind of ghetto compared to the Dark World in Zelda 3.
Yeah.
Because it was basically a bunch of discontiguous zones.
Right, but the big
you couldn't really explore.
Yeah, but they did add a bunch of new Zelda mechanics. Mostly the big one is the one where you turn flat and go on the wall, which is 3DS style, right? They had to do 3D something.
The other thing that they did is elevation actually matters a lot.
Yeah.
To the point that if you turn off the 3D, some of the puzzles are really hard.
In some places, the elevation is cool. And some places just annoying that you have elevation.
But the fact is, it matters for some of the puzzles.
Yes.
Which at least it was an attempt to use Nintendo's most recent gimmick bullshit. So.
Oh, the 3D screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as much as I enjoyed this game, I have never died.
Did I die? I may have died just like fooling around. If I tried really hard, I probably could have completely avoided dying.
Yeah, well, one.
Have you gone to that weird place in the top right-ish area with like the falling thing where you got to go? It's like sort of platformy.
Yeah.
Underground. That place is a little annoying.
Well, I died a couple times, but I had fairies with me, so it didn't matter.
Oh, okay.
But I never at any point playing this game, fighting a boss, fighting a mini-boss, going through an area.
Oh, hell no.
Even felt for a second like, I wonder if I'll run out of hearts. I never bought a potion either, because fuck potions. I never needed one.
I just keep your bottles filled with fairies or whatever.
Yeah,
scoop
5 bottles.
Scoop them up with your net. You'll be all good.
5 bottles.
Yep.
Bottles were more important than heart containers in Zelda 3.
And now they let you have 5 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you get one of them just by dumping a bunch of money into that fountain.
Dude, there was one item in this game which was that you get just by like talking to a dude in town, the Pegasus boot, I think.
Yeah.
And it's like I didn't get it for so long because I didn't realize it was so easy to get, but it's just like just sneak up behind the dude and you get it.
Yep, I didn't realize. I thought because I remembered getting them a different way, and I didn't think
I was like, man, what dungeon am I getting the Pegasus boot in? I could really use it.
Yeah, because the whole
could have
game,
gotten it the whole time.
The whole game's like, oh, I could knock that thing off. I could knock that thing off. This is really slow.
Yeah.
It was interesting. They had that weird mechanic where you could rent items, So basically, I had infinite rupees for the entire
Well,
game.
that is one interesting thing. Usually a Zelda game makes you do the dungeons in order. But here, they don't make you do the dungeons in order. You can go to any dungeon that's accessible that you want, but you might need a certain item for the dungeon, so you can go rent it for rupees. And that's kind of good because they made rupees matter. In other Zeldas, that you would buy everything you could buy, then rupees meant dick.
But they only matter if you die frequently.
Yes. And it's like, eventually, you just literally outright buy every item in the shop trivially.
Why bother? It's not like you're going to die.
Well, eventually, I think in the other world, you can't rent the item? I don't remember.
Why? I'd never lose the item. Doesn't matter.
I don't remember. I played it longer ago than you. You're playing
Yeah.
it now. But
Yeah.
I just outright bought every item really trivially because there were so many rupees and they were easy to get, and then that was that.
So I guess my trouble is, but it's a complicated problem because this game is not a good game for me, but it's a good game for other people. So I got to harp on the things that I think are just bad design or are Zelda going in a bad direction.
The one bad thing, was because you can go to the dungeons in any order, right? Just choosing the right item that belongs to that dungeon. What ends up happening is all of the dungeons that are on the same tier are equal difficulty. So, but your Link, you're getting more heart containers and you're getting more sword power and whatever you're getting. So, like, the first dungeon is actually kind of difficult no matter which one you pick. But then every other dungeon after that gets trivially easy because it's like all the dungeons are like the level 2 dungeon. As opposed to in Zelda 1, like you walked right into the level 8 dungeon at the beginning of the game, you were dead.
Yup. I mean, sometimes I'd go in there.
How are you going to fight those blue sword dudes with your sword?
Yup.
And maybe some bomb. Like
you're going to
bomb.
bomb? How many bombs do you have?
4.
8?
4 bomb. You're going to use 4 bomb and sword on a room full of blue sword guys. Good luck, my
Wasn't
friend.
that a challenge at MagFest? You're dumped in with half a heart in a blue sword room.
Good luck. I forget. What are those guys' names again?
Dark Nut?
Yeah, you blue dark nuts, room full of them, and the things that are shooting at you in the corners, and you don't have the magic shield, and you only have sword, and you only have like 4 bombs. Yeah, it's not going to happen. But in this one, that basically doesn't exist because all the dungeons in the same tier are equal difficulty.
So here's what bothered me. One, the items are not really used too intrinsically in the dungeons themselves. They're just used at the entrance to keep you out.
Sometimes.
Oh, yeah, most of the time. Like, the uses
Usually
in the
that
dungeons for
weapon is the
puzzles-
most effective thing against the boss of the dungeon.
Yeah, but I've found that all the items are really effective against all the bosses in most cases. I mean, that fire rod, I use that to kill most of the bosses because it's just a fuck ton of damage and goes through a lot of their blocks.
Yep.
So, my problem is, you use a particular item to get in every dungeon. You can just buy that item for a trivial amount of rupees and just have it with you, no matter what. And they don't even make you figure it out. They have an icon that shows you which item you even need to get in, and they explain what all the icons are in detail multiple times. So,
Hey, Link, this item does this.
Mega Man, Mega Man.
Mega Man.
So, whereas here would be a cool puzzle where that guy's like, hey, check out that windmill over there. And you know that's where your bullshit is. So then you figure out, how can I get the door open on this windmill?
Maybe
And
with
then-
the wind item?
Yeah, maybe if I make some wind blow. Oh, hey, it worked. No, instead, there's just an icon of the wind item there in case you're a moron.
So you want it to be basically, if it's just a windmill and there's a wind item, it'll be so easy that anyone but the dumbest kid could figure it out trivially. But you want it to be even easier to where literally anyone who's literate will get it right.
And to
Like
top it off,
3rd grade reading level, anyone.
so in the
Can't
dungeons,
mess it up.
because you rent bombs, you have unlimited bombs all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Which means finding secrets is trivial. There aren't that many secrets, and every time you need a bomb for anything that matters, there's always an infinitely respawning monster that drops a bomb every time you kill him. So even
That
if you
way
did-
you can't possibly get trapped in a dungeon.
except you can't get trapped by that. You just would have to go rent the bombs again if you die.
You'd have to go all the way. If you get to a place where you need a bomb and you don't have one, you might have to go all the way back to get one. This way,
like in every other Zelda game.
right, this way, it's like, well, no matter where you are, you won't have to like backtrack 100 miles and come back again.
But
The
thus,
bomb will be here.
renting the bombs feels pointless. And 2, the monster you kill is always right next to the puzzle you need to use a bomb for, so you don't even have to figure out the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
And 3, while the
I think
game,
you're underestimating how dumb people are. These
yeah,
people, if they played Zelda 1, would have no fucking clue what to do.
I've watched people play Zelda 1 and have
You
no
remember
clue.
PAX? Those were gamers. People dedicated enough to gaming to go to PAX. They hadn't played Zelda 1 before, and they were under pressure on a stage, but still, they needed someone to tell them what to do on a FAQ. And Penny Arcade realized this and provided it in advance, knowing that that would be a problem.
So this is the problem. It seems like Zelda games are aimed at basically children or people who haven't built a lot of skill in basically any game even close to this genre. But simultaneously, they're removing even the basic parts of the puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't fail, and there's almost nothing to figure out. The solution to every puzzle in every dungeon is right there. Just, you can brute force every puzzle. Just get flat and walk in every direction. See a rupee on the wall? That's the direction to go.
Here's the thing I don't get, right? We got to presume they're making it easy and accessible to get the widest possible audience,
Which
right?
is fine.
The dumbest person who's playing this game is some little kid who plays Pokemon. That kid can figure out fucking Pokemon. He can figure out fucking Zelda.
That kid was Eevee training before they made that an obvious part of the game.
That's what I'm saying. Those kids figured out fucking the first Pokemon. They can, right? They can figure out the newer Pokemon, which has even more shit going on. They can figure out Zelda without the handholding.
Yep. Now, meanwhile, look at another type of games, all the Metroidvanias.
Mm-hmm.
Those games, I had a similar problem with because I really like those games, but I get really good at them. So then when a new one came out, the beginning was ridiculously easy and pointless before you got to the good parts.
Mm-hmm.
So if Nintendo
Just play
made,
Super Metroid again because, seriously.
But if Nintendo made Zelda games more and more difficult, they're only chasing the expert gamers. So instead, they're making them easier and easier. But like Scott alluded to, I don't know who they're going after who doesn't already like Zelda games by taking the games even a notch lower.
I think really the thing that disappoints me the most is the better Zelda games, usually the ones that are bigger, right? The more, the better. Same thing with Metroidvanias. The bigger, the better. Look at Symphony of the Night. Fucking upside down castle, playing it twice shit going on, right?
Yep. And
That shit's
remember,
huge.
the original design of the original Legend of Zelda came out of the idea
Second quest.
I was a
fucking
kid wandering around in the forest, and I wanted to
18
recreate
dungeons
that
if you count
experience.
both quests.
Zelda's 1, 2, and 3 had a lot of exploration, and increasingly Zelda games, especially even this one, pretty much railroad you into, here's a box, and inside this box is
Well,
a
I think
puzzle.
that that's what they were going for in Link Between Worlds, was letting you go all over the map right away,
Except then
any
they
dungeon you want.
Except then they portioned off the Dark Zone, so there's no exploration.
Mm-hmm.
There's almost no sense of discovery in the game. It just gives you a checkbox
Well,
of,
you can't discover anything on a map that you've known your whole life.
yeah, but they
Imagine
changed a
playing,
bunch of
if you
things.
played this and you had never played the SNES Zelda 3, you're discovering the whole thing because you don't know this map.
Exactly, but even if I were discovering the whole thing, because of the
It's
way
like if you
the
played
map's
hide and
designed-
seek at your house. Of course, it's less fun for people who know your house.
But even
like
if I've
you.
never played a Zelda game before, the map is so small and the puzzles are so
It's
telegraphed.
the same size map as your favorite Zelda. It's the
Yes,
same map.
But
How
that
is it
one,
small?
Because that one was more interconnected. In the Dark World, you could walk in a lot of different directions, a lot of different paths. There's a lot of kind of weird stuff hanging around. In this one, they've kind of walled off every section, and they even put them into separate sections on the map. And you can't walk between those sections at all.
Yep. What I really just want to see is someone make a Zelda 2 top-down game or Metroidvania where the thing is so big and the difficulty continues to scale exponentially, to where you don't feel you get ripped off when you didn't beat it because you still played it for like a zillion hours until you got to the spot where you couldn't get past.
Oh, so then the game is just how far did you get?
Yeah, it's how far did you get? And only like the most badasses of the video game world will actually beat it. And like the slightly less badass will like get to the final boss and die. And the slightly less badass might get to the last level. And it's like the difficulty just keeps scaling all the way up, right? And it's like everyone's gonna get really far because it's so big. You're gonna get like at least a full Zelda game into the game, like 14 dungeons or whatever, something ridiculous like that. But the game has like 30 dungeons.
Oh, tons of NPCs saying a bunch of useless shit constantly that you can't skip.
That's in every Zelda game ever.
Zelda 1.
Yes.
They don't. That takes 2 seconds. They don't say it again.
The
You don't go
Dargo
back in
dislike
there.
smoke. You can't leave the room while I am typing it very slowly.
Yes, that does not bother me nearly as much as
Pay me
hey,
rupees and I'll tell you something completely useless that you can't leave the room while I'm saying.
Hey.
Oh, and you lost some rupees.
I'm a sage. Let me give you all this lore that has literally no bearing on the game because you're just gonna go do these check boxes.
People really care about the Zelda lore for some reason.
I know, and I just
Even though it's the exact same lore every single game, get all them sages, then beat Ganon.
don't care anymore. Like the
Hey
lore,
guys, get pro tip. At the end of the game, Ganon.
the lore is so unsubtle and honestly pretty badly written in this game.
It's the same lore that they've had since SNES Zelda.
Yes, but the
They've
wording,
repeated
the
that
way
one
they
lore every
describe it,
time.
the little details about like where the different stages went, and oh, this guy, someone rented my sand, whatever, and I wonder what happened to him, and the witch disappearing, and then you figure out she's a sage because they show you a picture. They don't let you figure anything out on your own. Everything you could figure out, even stuff about the lore, they tell you immediately in multiple ways. There is no chance to miss any of the little subtle details that they could have just left undescribed. The game is unsubtle, if I had to describe it in a word.
Every modern game? What game that's new that's subtle?
New
For any platform.
FTL.
How is it subtle?
The combinatorial complexity and the surprising interactions of different weapons and strategies makes very subtle and nuanced strategies interesting.
What about the lore of FTL? How is it subtle?
Have you actually played the advanced game at all?
No.
There's lots of little side dramas going on, and you can figure out a lot of interesting stuff about like which races are interacting with whom and what's going on in these parts of space.
Rockman is love fanfic.
Actually, you know what? Deus Ex Human Revolution had a lot of interesting, subtle lore that didn't get in your way, and they didn't go out of their way to say, hey, check out this clever thing we did, like a Zelda game does. Look right here. This is the tiny clever thing we did in case you missed it. In that game, it's just there. If you notice that guy looks like that other guy, well, that's interesting. I wonder, it's almost like the creators are afraid that you'll miss some little piece that they thought of that they thought was clever. So they got to have arrows and fingers pointing at everything they thought of to make sure you know how clever they were. I don't know. I was surprisingly unsatisfied by the game.
There's a reason it's not video game season and hasn't been for a while.
I'm playing a lot of video games. I'm just not playing Nintendo games.
I'm not playing really much video games right now. But I might soon.
So yeah, see you at Kineticon. This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geeknights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.
Out of the midst of the bush and said, Moses,
get the water, nigga! It's going down! Ah, the motherfucking bootleg fireworks!
So what was their not wrong thinking?
Oh no, there was a lot. Okay, this is getting really complicated. This isn't the show about ferrets.
Are you just going to abandon this topic?
I'm going to abandon this topic because I've noticed a trend. I don't have a word for this yet, but this happened 3 times over the course of the wedding we were at last weekend, where there's a discussion. 2 people make opposing claims, and a third person says, all right, I'm going to look it up, which is followed by the conversation happening next to them where they go, oh, okay, give me a minute. This article's really long. Crap, it links to these other articles. Okay, this is going to take a while. And by the time they find the answer, no one gives a shit anymore.
Okay.
We need a word for that.
TLDR.
But that's it. TLDR also is just anytime you're reading anything that's too long. This is an argument where the actual answer is complicated enough that no one cares enough to continue the argument. They were, in fact, only arguing for the sake of arguing.
Like this right now?
Yes. Or like the Barry incident. No, okay, the ban goes back to 1959. The Giuliani thing was an upholding of the ban after
Why
some
would they
lawsuits.
uphold it?
Giuliani, I guess, fucking hates ferrets? I can't tell.
Okay.
So I guess it's Tuesday, gaming day. May or may not be a Thursday show. We'll see if we feel like recording a Thursday show right now after this Tuesday show.
Why don't you wait for the meta moment on that?
Yeah, but this week,
Tech, you know that heat is like the number 1 mechanic in the game. You can't just fire your weapons wildly all over the place.
well, you can.
Sure, but your mech will overheat and explode. So it's like, BattleTech / Mech Warrior is all about, positioning and firing at opportune moments and
Heat management.
Yeah, and managing the heat. You can't in other games. You could just be like, like Advance Wars, move and shoot, unless you have ammo, right? Move and shoot. Just keep shooting. There's no reason not to shoot.
Yep. Games like World of Warcraft have their cooldown period, so you do your attack, and then there's a cooldown, then you do your attack again. But there's no reason to not do it at the
But in
maximum
BattleTech,
rate.
you have this general thing, heat. All weapons generate some amount of heat. And so it's like you can't fire weapons, period. Not like, okay, you fired that weapon, it's cooling down, but you can still go crazy with all your other weapons as much as you want. No, it's like, okay, you're at like max heat. If you fire anything now, you risk just exploding your whole robot. So, of course, every MechWarrior BattleTech game ever has heat because that's the core mechanic that makes it BattleTech/MechWarrior. I'll just keep saying BattleTech because it's better, even though this is MechWarrior Online. So they put in this thing called Cool Shot, which is basically an item, a disposable item that you can use to cool your mech off, right? So almost like nitro for your heat sinks. So you press the button and your heat goes away. And you can use these, you can get them and use them up. And then you're out of them, right? So obviously if someone had one of these, or a few of them, they could get close to you, fire all their lasers.
Weekend will be in Connecticut at Connecticut.
Yeah.
So you got any gaming news?
So this isn't really news. This is from 2013.
Wow, 2013 is actually the last time I got an email about the thing you're going to talk about.
Like a year ago, August.
Here's the email I
2013.
got. The subject line is MechWarrior Online Mailing List. You are now unsubscribed. And it was the September 19th, 2013.
Sure. So anyone who doesn't know, there was a MechWarrior Online game. And, it's basically MechWarrior, but you play it online, which is amazing, except it was pay to win of the highest order. So fuck that shit.
In 2011, I made my account and reserved my name. I never once played the game.
I also, same thing. I reserved it when they announced it, and then I never once played the game. Anyway, so the reason that this is news is because A, I just found this recently, and I don't think we've talked about it on the show before, but B, this game died horribly. And why did it die horribly? Mostly because this long tale that you can read about how the game developers mistreated the community so badly, worse than probably or as bad as any game ever. And this isn't like a tribe situation where they did what the community told them to. It is the opposite, where not only did they do the opposite of what the community wanted to do, they did stuff that even the people that weren't in the community didn't want them to do.
Oh, you like miniguns? Banned from the game forever.
Right. The number one thing that they did that was really bad is they put in basically this thing called Cool Shot. And if anyone's played MechWarrior Battle and do sign language.
One thing I do enjoy, though, is watching human babies interact with like dogs and horses because it's
They're
obvious
basically
that,
the same damn thing.
Yeah, like they have the same level of cognition. And in fact, there's a point where I've seen dogs that were clearly cognitively superior to the humans they were interacting with.
Yeah, well, the humans are either so small or, so dumb.
Well, I had a friend in high school who I think his ferret was a little bit smarter than him in a lot of ways.
Yeah, there's people like that.
Yeah. I wonder what he's up to. I think he fell for the Amway scam last time I talked to him, which was like 15 plus years ago.
If that ferret could talk. De Blasio was talking about legalizing ferrets.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. I like ferrets.
Yeah, why not? I don't understand why they were illegal in
The
the first
fear
place.
was, in olden times, a
Is
ferret...
this law really that old?
Yes.
And
I
they
don't know
haven't
when,
changed
here,
it since then?
I will look up when the law happened, but the fear was that a ferret would climb between floors in the old-ass buildings in New York City, find a baby, and kill it.
Sure. And not that pickpockets would use them, which is a thing that happened at least once.
Oh my God, if I was a pickpocket, do you know how many ferrets I would have?
People would know, I got pickpocketed. Maybe it's the guy with 100 ferrets hanging out in Union Square.
Okay, they were banned a couple of times in history, apparently, but the ban that's in effect now was put in place by Giuliani.
So really fucking recent.
Yeah.
So there's no excuse for any wrong thinking in that decision.
It's Tuesday, July 8th, 2014. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, a link between worlds.
Let's do this.
I guess Scott really wants to be a fish.
If I couldn't be a person and I had to be a thing that exists in real life, various types of fish are not bad choices.
Well, I recall a long time ago we were talking about if we had demons that followed us around, or a daemon, or however you want to call it, and people were like, "Oh, Rim, you'd have like a crow or something like that," and then you were kind of tangential to the conversation, and then you suggested that yours would be a tiny human. When we told you that wouldn't work, you decided a mechanical fish.
A robot fish would be pretty awesome.
It'd be okay.
Better than a regular fish.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of fish, except for the eating. I'm more a fan of, I don't know, sea mammals like dolphins.
Dolphins, good enough.
Is that a fish, though?
No, but I'll
Yeah?
take it.
Racist.
You're just trying to, in the absence of being able to be a human, you're just trying to pick the smartest thing that is out there.
No, if I was going to pick the smartest thing, I'd pick one of the greatest apes or like, I don't know, an African gray parrot.
You know, a dolphin might be smarter than some apes. It just can't, talk.
Yeah.